right. I am here. I had to get me something to drink first, y'all. Mm. Let me cut that off. Yes. Had to give me something to drink, y'all, because we about to get into some spicy questions. Okay, we about to get into some spicy questions. Welcome. It's like I'm what's up? I'm 5 minutes late, maybe more than that, but I'm 5 minutes late, y'all, and I really tried, and the devil was like, no, you're not uploading this, you're not getting on, but God said, yes, she is, because after 3 attempts, I'm on here. Okay, so we're here. Welcome to my channel, y'all. This your girl boss friend, Stephanie Adrian. Welcome. If you are new here, y'all, excuse my washing machine. Over there, yeah. So if you are new here, welcome. We are a girl boss team, girl boss channel over here. Me helping you guys level up and encourage you guys to become the best version of yourselves each and every day. Okay, over here on this channel. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, because after this video, and we get through these questions, y'all gonna want to subscribe. Y'all gonna be like, oh, I like her. Because who don't like me? Okay, period. Okay, so anyways, and if you don't like me, that's a personal problem, because me, yeah. Anyway, so you guys, I'm going to introduce my lovely, amazing chat room. That's C over here, y'all, aka C Banks. You know, that's what we used to call him back in the day. He was C Banks back in the day. That was his little street name. So I know it's like he went in the streets. Okay, he's not that type of dude. Okay. So, anyways, this is my lovely husband, and tonight we are going to give you guys some relationship topics, relationship talks, and we're just going to talk about relationships. And feel free to chime in and answer your questions. Oops. Okay, so feel free to chime in and ask us questions. And while we're talking, if we see a comment, a question, we're gonna go ahead and answer. If not, then I can't see our comments. But I think it's my first time live, y'all. So it says all messages are visible. Okay. So I had to make sure it was on visible. Okay. So y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Okay. So, and get our advice on the topic or the question that's going to be asked. Okay. So some questions might be relatable, some questions might be not relatable. We're just asking and giving advice because we've been married for, let's give a little background about us. Okay, so we've been married for 8 years, been together for 10 years, so a total of 18 years, because that 10 years when we was together, that still counts. Okay, even though I didn't have this ring on my finger, but those 10 years before we got married still counts. And don't argue with me, argue with your mama. Okay, for the ones that say, oh, that don't count, y'all was just a couple, y'all was just a couple, y'all was just, you know, whatever. But no, I was still doing marriage duties. Okay, so he just finalized it. Okay, so anyways, we've been together for 18 years, y'all. And yeah, and relationships are not perfect. Marriages is not perfect. We're not coming here and trying to say that we are perfect. Excuse the machine back there, y'all. But we're not trying to come here and say that we are perfect. We are helping you guys become the best version of yourself in a relationship. And that's why we have Steph talks, okay? Because each and every day in all aspects of life, we are becoming the best version of themselves, okay? So, and I had to find out everything on my own. He came from a double parent home. I came from a single parent home. So that's where some of my views that you might get tonight might have a reasoning on why she might think XYZ, okay? So, and I had to learn everything on my own. He pretty much knew everything. He pretty much taught me some stuff too. And, you know, so I had to come up and level up on my own and become the best version of myself by figuring this all out. So we using my platform to help you guys to become the best version of yourself. Okay, so yeah, thank you. You welcome. Y'all welcome. Okay, so the first topic is, what does trust mean to you? Like, what does trust mean to us? You want to answer that question?
Yeah, so trust means to me not living a double life, being loyal. I would say somebody that if I talk to, that I don't have to worry about hearing about it in different areas. That's what trust is to me.
Okay.
And just by your actions, just by your actions as a person.
Actions. Far as what will make you, what actions, far as elaborate on actions a little bit, like far
Just
as
how
what
you carry
actions
yourself
can,
as a person.
okay, are we talking about married couples or
Just relationships.
just in relationship?
Yeah.
I think to me it matters to both, whether you're single or whether you're married, because when you're single and you have to build that trust with that person, because you can't get married and not have that trust.
Right.
You know, not have no trust there and get married, right?
Right.
So you have to do things when you're single and you're in a relationship to make that other person trust you, right?
Right, but even like in a marriage, there's still trust that.
Now, if we're talking about marriage, yeah,
so that's also
trust,
just in general.
But I think it starts at the bottom though too.
Right. So
to build that trust.
Right. So relationship just in general, where after you've established that trust, even in marriage, there's still, lines of where you need to continue that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. In order to keep the relationship healthy, you have to have that trust. So trust means to me that you can't lie, you can't steal from your significant other, you can't belittle that significant other to try to make you feel like you're better than them, because that's where confidence come in, and it makes that person not want to trust you because you feel this certain type of way against me, or you stealing from me, or you're lying to me. So I feel like that's where trust comes. Like if a person ever stole from you, of course you can't trust them no more. If a person ever lied to you before, of course you can't trust them no more. If people ever backstab you or talk behind your back or whatever the case might be, or try to belittle you, of course you can't trust them no more. So that's where trust comes from, or that's what trust means to me. So if a person never, have our flaws, but to me that's a red flag. Yeah. That's a red flag, and I can't trust you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what trust means to me. That makes sense? Yeah. And that's whether you're single or whether you're married.
Right.
And then especially when you meet somebody, if they're already lying to you that they at home and you see that they was at the store or something like that, you can't trust them. Yeah, so you got to see those red flags at the beginning, catch those red flags at the beginning. And that's whether you're single, in a relationship, whether you're married, or whether it's a friendship. Because I think friendships too are as important. I think friendships too are as important as relationships.
Yeah, so that's the reason why,
because people have platonic friendships where they've been best friends or they've been close friends with a person for the longest. And that plays a part too, as well as relationships. So we could tie that friendship into this relationship topic, but you have to see all aspects of trust, especially when you first meet that person, right? You agree?
Yeah, that's why your actions are really critical to that when you're establishing them. Because if you're already not having those good actions, whether it's lying, cheating, stealing,
or talking about behind somebody back,
or living a double lifestyle, then it's gonna be hard to build, whether it's friendship, relationship, so that's why, the foundation is so important. But then once you move into the next step of that marriage or friendship, that's where, those core values are gonna be key.
I agree. So next one.
So the next question, would you prefer variety and change or stability?
Would I prefer variety
and change or stability
in a relationship? Would I prefer variety or change? Sorry, y'all, it takes me time. It takes me a little bit to process information. Okay, so read that question to me again.
So
would you prefer variety,
change or stability? Variety and change or stability.
Variety and change or stability in a relationship. I prefer variety and change in a relationship because you don't want to be the same person that you was 10 or 15 years ago in a relationship. Like for us, we've been together for 18 years, and of course we gradually grew and became a better version of ourselves, or still becoming a better version of ourselves. And as you get older, you are still becoming, like, you could be 50 years old and you still growing. People get married when they're 50, people get married when they're 40, people, just found their significant other when they're 60. So I prefer variety and change, but financially I prefer that stability. So it depends, because you got to have stability when it comes to relationship. Like, you got to be with loyalty. If you want to add, is stability the same thing with loyalty? Did they go together?
Somewhat.
So yeah, stability. You got to have that stability, loyalty when you're in a relationship. But I think it just depends on certain things, like what people are looking for in a change.
Yes, I would say
in a relationship.
Yes, I would say a combination of both. You definitely want change.
Because each person has their flaws, and
you definitely want change because of the fact that helps you with growth and becoming better. But then you want us to, foundation that you can always go back to. I mean, so both are hand in hand. That out of those two things is more so just balance. Having balance of both of those two, because you don't want to be stagnant, and it's kind of it's just the norm of things. So that's where change is very, very important. But then you want that stability, because that's something you can always fall back on. So
what would you say are some key things about, what would you say are some key ideas about stability? Like, how can a person out there who's watching now, what can they look for stability in a person? If they was just to meet a person and they asked them those questions, like, do you have, what kind of stability do you have? Like, what should they look for, especially coming from a man? Like, if me, and now me, like, I'm just meeting you or something like that, and we're on a date, and I ask you, what kind of stability you got? Or what's your future goals or something, like,
Yeah, so, I mean, at that point, your future goals, you want to have your short term and your long term, your short term, what you're trying to do a year from now, 2 years from now, then long term, as far as with that relationship, how you see that relationship going from there. So that's how I normally always did it. Mom, when I met you, even though we were like,
no, because we was living with us. Yeah, we was
living with parents. So
okay, so then that's a stability. When you first meet a person, you make sure they got a car. That's a stability. A house, stability. They got a job, stability. So those are key factors that you should look for in a relationship. Is stability.
Yeah.
But as far as change,
right?
What you think?
I mean, so it changed. I mean, that's where look at their goals. Where they're trying to go in their life. So whether it's, that's why I said it's so important, like the short term and long term. Like, what are your short term goals? What are you like trying to do a year from now, 2 years now? So if it was like a job, for example, where do you see yourself going? With that job. All those things are key factors, because if if you're staying stagnant and you're not changing, I mean, that can affect the relationship. Once y'all come together, depending on what y'all trying to do, whether you're trying to have kids or you're just going to stay just as a couple. So that question was, would you prefer variety or change of stability and routine? Oh, we forgot the routine part. Routine. What would you say is a key idea for routine in a relationship? Me taking out the trash every week.
That's right. Job chores in a relationship. And it should not be gender role. I talk about that all the time. Washing clothes, dishes should not be a gender role. It should be a routine. Everybody have their own job, and that should be a routine factor. Would you consider paying bills a routine?
Yeah, I mean, that's a routine. But even with that, I mean, there's still some change in there. I mean, depending on how your scenario changes, whether the scenario changes, whether you move into a big home, there might be a shift, a little change right there. So it's kind of like a combination of both. When you talk about like the gender role, I mean, I know for me during COVID, when I started working from home, it shifted where I started washing clothes and helping with folding clothes and different things. So,
but it's still a routine, because we both share the.
Yeah, but the part about you saying like gender role, it's like helping one another out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like routine, as far as helping one another out, we basically, like a cycle is like over and over again. So we cleared that up. So you said change as far as your goals, your stability, as far as, okay, do they have a house, a car, a job, and your routine is basically you both share equally. It's y'all both are equally yoked, basically, and like far as make sure that balance. Yeah. Okay, so what is your idea of fulfilling a love life?
of course, I mean, spend time with them, getting to know their interests, what they're trying to do, being spontaneous, you know, um, stepping outside the box and doing some things that they like that maybe you might not feel comfortable with. So, kind of like tonight, I'm not really comfortable with these things.
Yeah, he's not a camera guy, y'all. So I love and appreciate him for coming on the camera and coming on the Steph Talk show. Okay.
But that also, shows that person that you care about their interests, even though it might not be something you per se want to do. So I think like all those things are important, and then just things that they like, really putting that on your bucket list to make sure that you accommodate that, put a smile on their face. So
that's fulfilling a love life. Yeah, that's good. I feel like fulfilling a love life, like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. That's fulfilling somebody's love life to me. That's what I feel like fulfilling somebody's love life. If you can meet that significant other, that guy, that woman, or whatever, and they meet all the criteria, they pour into you emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever else, like physically meaning the sex life is good, emotionally meaning they support you, all your emotions, you can be vulnerable to them, you can open up your emotions to them, you feel like you have a safe space with them. My dryer edit again. But yeah, you feel like you have a safe space with your I feel like that's very, very important. Making sure you have a safe space with your significant other. If you feel like, oh, you're too shy to, like, say for instance, fart or something like that, like, I feel like you should just be yourself, because you don't want to find out later down the line, like 10 to 12 years later, like, oh, you're this nasty person and da 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 da. So I feel like when you first meet them, like, that should be, that should be your confidence level should be, open up to them, because they should like you for whoever you are. So.
But that also goes with adapting and change. So like I always look at like that how we came together 5 years from now. I mean, one hopes that there's some changes that for the better. So that person has a certain struggle. If there's 5 things and they got 4 out of 5, then it's like, okay, that 5th thing that they might be struggling with, I'm going to help them. It's totally different than if it's a situation where it's like 5 things and they're only good at 1. And it's like, okay, we got a whole bunch of homework. But I also feel that same aspect that you love and care about that person and you see the potential out of them, and things take time and you work with them.
Yeah, and you work, you grow together.
And so that's where where they are today, they're going to be different tomorrow. So that's where that change comes in. And then the key thing for that, I'll always look at is the person willing. So you could give me a change for example, hey, I want you to work on this or something like that. But then it's like, am I willing to work on that? And if I'm not, then that says a lot about me. Because that's the reason why you're telling me, because it means something to you. So whether we agree or disagree, at least that I value what you're saying and see how we can compromise and work together. So.
Now I do like how you said adapt to change, and that's where a lot of relationships grow to fail too, because adapting to change, you can adapt to change and grow, or you can adapt to change and fail too.
So I think
that's why working together and adapting to change, or like I stated at the beginning, this is me, you either love it or you don't. So that's how I go all in. It's like you either love me or you don't. So
I mean
that's how I feel.
I can see that, but then also,
and then you was like, oh, I love this crazy girl. I made your life, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I
still brighten your day, don't I?
Yeah, I see that from both sides. If person comes and says, this is how I am, take it or leave it. That on one side, I understand. On the other side, it can also be a situation where you're with a person that really does care about you. But I always look at that if you're willing to compromise and you see different viewpoints, that also makes you a better person as well, because it might be something that you didn't see that they're showing you that could help you, in different aspects of your life. And so I just think that's that's why it's so important, with compromise, but also the willingness to work together and compromise, and kind of like a not, my way or no way. Not saying you were saying that, but I think that's where like that change really comes in. Like, okay, if you don't like something I was doing, or vice versa, and I'm like, hey, this is how I feel about this, and this is something that can help us. Then it's I just think in that aspect, it's like if both parties work together, there's so much more success than just saying, well, this is how I am, take it or leave it. that could, you know, potentially mess up a relationship that could be a beautiful thing. So it's just my view on it.
Whoa. That was a lot of information, but yeah, that is true. So yeah, like it is, you know, adapting to change. Either take it or, you know, grow for the better or grow for the worse. So, I see both. I see both ways. So
The key is just balance.
yeah, just balance.
balance.
That's balance. So it says, okay, that was the question is, what is your idea for fulfilling a love life? You know, balance, adapting to change, making sure you love your significant other physically, and willing to compromise physically, emotionally, spiritually, and all the above. So that was good. And then he said adapting to change, and I said, you know, feeling confident and just being yourself and just being whole as a unit, you know, or whatever. So that was the answer to that, and the willing to compromise, right? So how would you handle conflict in a relationship? And you guys chime in, whoever's watching, chime in to ask questions, and we will answer them as we're just moving along too. So this is just relationship advice.
I mean, how it used to be, I guess, when you're in your early days, is more so like both parties trying to get that point across. But, you know, as I gotten older, you know, sometimes it's better just to listen first than opening your mouth and saying something. So
as you got older,
yeah. So
I think it's just a learning process. Like I said at the beginning, relationships are not perfect. Relationships is all about growing and developing and becoming the best version of yourselves and learning from your mistakes and learning from your flaws. Now, I can honestly say, being vulnerable, when we first started dating, I was like,
yeah.
And sometimes we have conflict comes from past childhood trauma. It comes from past I don't care what nobody say. Conflict can past childhood trauma can come into your relationship. It can come into your friendship. So a lot of times we have to learn how to heal from our pasthood trauma. I was raised in a household where my mom was always like, yip, 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 yip. And, you know, so I had to learn, like, okay, I can't do that in my relationship. My husband's like, yo, like, she's crazy. Like, you know, so I had to learn for the better to, you know, step into more of my feminine side and just be more soft for my husband and just let him take control and take lead. Because like I said, that came from my past childhood trauma. So we cannot bring that pasthood trauma into your relationship. So that's how, you know, we handle conflict. It's just learning how to, you know, listen to your significant other, communicate. What else?
Then also like even though you might disagree with them, agreeing to disagree. So I think one of the most important things about that is just a willingness just to having that person be heard. You know, even if you disagree. So I think, you know, where, like you said, where things was before, like in your earlier days, you always want to say that 10 years from now, am I doing the same things as well I was doing it yesterday? And so that's why I like you said, even going back to the first question, I mean, not first question, second question, like change. You know, are you willing to put the change, or how you feel? That's why I said, like, sometimes it's best to just, when you feel like you want to get your point across, sometimes just to, you know, just sit back, let that person explain, because it might be a situation where they say something and then you're like, oh, okay, you know what?
Yeah, you blow it out of proportion. Like, that's me. I blow it out of proportion. Like, it could be the smallest things with you, and I'm like, but it'd be like the littlest things. Like, we can fuss over, like, where's my pencil? Where's my phone? Where's my cup? I have my cup, but then you be like, you know. So it'd be the littlest thing. I feel like we have overcame that now where we're at versus where we used to be in our relationship with handling conflict. Because a lot of things we just let each other go because it's like, okay, we're not going to fuss about the same thing that we fussed about 10, 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Because, you know, where maturity comes into fact too with conflict.
Right.
I think you have to have a level of maturity when it comes into conflict because we was dating at 15, 16. We was still babies. We was definitely still not mature. So now that we're adults, we're more mature. I just let you have it. You just let me have it. And then like you're the more of the get over it quick.
Reserve, way back.
You're just yeah. Like if we get into it, like you just immediately start talking to me again.
I say 2 minutes, maybe like 30 minutes to an hour. After you like process and you think about. I think now more so what I try to do is that if I'm upset about something, I might go and just
but we don't carry it long or through.
I'm not gonna hold it for no 2 weeks, 3 weeks, stuff like that. I might be upset for like an hour or two, but I think that's why it goes back to like just changing like a willingness to change where you're like, okay, you know what am I mad about? Like, is it a big problem or a little problem? Is it a situation where we can reconcile that issue, or just sleep on it and talk about it different on next day? And so I think one of the biggest things I've tried to work on, and I think that's big for people that's listening, is that it's a situation where you're upset. Sometimes just to sit back and just don't say anything, let that person explain first, and you might find out like, hey, you know what, like what I was mad about, maybe it might be a communication issue one time. So
yeah, well, definitely a lot of times conflict can be a miscommunication issue. It's just because I think with conflict too, it's like a lot of people take it as you coming for me, I'm coming for you. So we don't actually listen to what you're trying to say or the other person is trying to say. We just ready to attack. It's like if it's a dog attacking you, and then you gonna fight the other dog back because it's like you're not about to bite me, or you're not about to
I'm gonna run, but I mean
right. But if it's too late, it's like So I just feel like, a lot of times we just have our guards up and we just ready to snap. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like giving each other the same energy that you're giving is important. Like a lot of times, how you talk to me versus like a level, a talking conversation tone, and I'm going to give that back to you. So I think that's how you can resolve conflict.
Yeah. And then I also think too, like, one thing I try to do is like, sometimes it might be something that where you can avoid an argument by, what I mean by that is like, let's just say if I called you and I'm at work and you're saying, hey, I'm having a tough day, this is going on, stuff like that. So by me just calling and just seeing how you was doing during the day, and you say, oh, I'm having a tough day. So I know when I'm coming home, like you've had a tough day. So even if I couldn't talk to you a lot during that time, I know when I come home, hey, let me see like what's going on. What affected your day and see how we can help, versus maybe if I didn't have that phone call and I come home and you're upset.
Oh yeah,
I don't
checking in with somebody throughout the day.
So I don't know, like, I don't know, like, you was upset. All I know is that you're just like, then it's kind of like I don't want to hear all that. So then really what the issue the issue is not really each other. The issue is that you had a long day and I had a long day.
Right. So then that's how you can solve conflict.
Things that you can put in place that where it's kind of like where you can know what's going on with your spouse, whether it's during the day, during the week, or whatever. That can be a way to avoid those things. Yeah. Come home during break.
And you bring me that lunch. Yeah. And you surprise me with Butterfingers like you did today.
Baby
I love you. But, thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that was the question on how you handle conflict. We had a question too. Let me see. Where did it go? Where did it go? Whoever wrote that comment, write that comment again, cause. Okay, whoever wrote that comment, write that comment again, cause this is the first live, y'all. So, excuse this. Okay, so I will try to catch it next time as it goes. I'm still learning. Okay, we're gonna get better. We're growing. Okay, because we girl bosses over here. We're going to become the best version of ourselves. So we're gonna become the best version of ourselves on this live. Okay, and yeah, we're gonna have more viewers after viewers after viewers after viewers after lives after lives after lives after lives. Okay, so anyway, I think I got ADHD. I get sidetracked. So how many days do you think a couple?
It just depends on how. It's so many different factors in there. It depends on their work-life balance, if they have kids. So I would just say, like, for us, since the work-life balance is kind of more stable now than what it was 3 years ago, I would say, like my goal is
But
being
I don't
like 2
think
to
the
4.
work. I don't think the work balance got anything to do with the weekend.
Yeah, it does. Like,
we don't work on the weekend.
So that's what I'm saying.
Well, most people don't work on the weekend. Well, some people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends. Like that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, it depends on if they work on the weekend.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on like that person's work-life balance. If they have kids, you know, what their schedules look like, all those things right there. Right. Right. Like if they have family that can watch the kids, stuff like that. So it just depends on that. But so I would just answer it more for like us, since our work-life balance is more stable than what it was like 3 years ago. I would say, 2 to 3.
Hey, my man.
Yeah.
My man.
2 to 3. So
yes, because we was doing once a month.
Yeah.
But, so you're saying 2 to 3 a month, or
yeah, 2 to 3 a month. That's what I was saying. Like the work-life balance, like it's so many different factors that play into that. So like 3-4 years ago, with my work schedule, it was more hectic because I was working, really like Sunday through almost Saturday. So it was like, Sunday through Friday. So it's like I only had one day. So on that one day, it might be a situation where a person's just tired. They don't really feel like doing much. So then it kind of makes it where you're not having that time together, because you're always constantly working. So that can cause frustration. So, once it's more stable, I would say definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why we probably gradually grew to three times a month.
Yeah.
And then plus our kids are older, and we don't really need a babysitter like that. Because sometimes, okay, so my thing is dates. I love dates. Because I'm an outgoing person. I like to go out and have fun and everything else. And plus, I feel like it's so especially when you've been together for so many years, because you just don't want to become spicy no more. Y'all not having all that fun that you was having, going to the movies, going
the word.
to eat, traveling, you should still keep that up in your relationship. 10, 12, 18, 20, 25, 35, 50 years old. Keep it up. Have fun with your significant other. And it just helps spice up the relationship. It helps with bonding because it's so very important. Once that bond is gone, your relationship starts to go downhill. And as he was saying, even if you have that work-life balance, you have to balance with spending time with your significant other. And I'm not saying that, a relationship, dating have to be outside of the home. Dating can be inside of the home. Create a movie night, create a game night, create a romance night, or whatever the case might be. And a lot of times now that we have kids, we do day dates. Yep. Because we old and can't be hanging out at night. Like that night we came home, and I mentioned in my vlog that we came home 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing out here with these young folks that just came from the club and going to the Waffle House and the IHOP and all of that stuff? We ain't doing that. But so I just felt like we can hang out at night, but we got to be home by midnight because I'm tired. Yeah. But so I think day dates is a lot more better in our relationship. So that can always be a consideration of to do day dates, and you don't really have to go out all day in the day. Do about 2 to 3 hours, and just have some romance and some love, and hugging and public affection. I know my husband loves what they call it, PDA, public display of affection. But so just do a little bit of that. And go get y'all nails, get your toes done while the girl get her nails done, or both go get their toes done. It's a lot to me. It's a lot more to do anyway during the day than at nighttime.
Yeah. So and that's why you gotta take advantage of those when you have that, because
we got some dates coming up because we got some gift cards that we gotta spend.
Yeah. So I would say if you got parents, definitely let the parents take the kids, but when you have that balanced schedule, take advantage of it, because it can always be the opposite way. And I'll say if you're in that situation where, for me, I worked 8 years in 2 jobs, so it was very hard. But I think, if you can find a way where you're checking in on your spouse, coming by and seeing them during lunch, on your break and stuff like that, that will at least.
Is that considered a date?
No, but what I'm saying is by you just checking in with them